What's going on, guys? EQA Nostalgia here, and welcome back to my week of Halloween madness. I just wanted to take some time to talk to you guys about the Dead Island games and Dying Light. But before I get into that, I want to just make it known that for people that might not know, the original developers of Dead Island, Techland, they took off and they pretty much were like, fuck you guys, to Deep Silver, we're gonna go do our own thing. So Deep Silver has pretty much been like going their own way with Dead Island, and you can kind of see that if you see like the MOBA that they did. They did a MOBA on Steam, which is kind of wacky, and then they did this other kind of game that was really colorful and wacky. I think it was on Xbox Arcade and other shit. I didn't play it. I wasn't interested in it. But Techland, they wanted to take the series in a more serious direction, and that's not what Deep Silver had in mind. They wanted things to be a little bit more lighthearted or comical, if you will, a little bit brighter, not so doom and gloom. So you ended up with a split. And what happened basically is Dying Light ended up being a really good game. I haven't beat it yet. I can't say anything about like the ending. I've heard that the ending is kind of meh. But the gameplay, from what I've played of it so far, and I have put quite a few hours into it, mostly on PS4. I just got it on Steam, so I'm starting all over again, which sucks, but, you know, whatever. It was on sale, and I wanted it for PC. I love the parkour system, and I think that's what keeps it fresh. For me, the original Dead Island, it just started to feel monotonous after a while, and that game was so hyped up. Everybody was like, "Oh, there's an open world zombie game, and there's crafting, and it's gonna be like this amazing thing, and it's gonna be kind of almost like an MMO where people can just join into your game, and it's just gonna be so fucking amazing." And oh my god! And then and then we got it, and we're like, "Yeah, this is pretty cool, but eh." I got probably I'd say probably midway through, I started feeling like, yeah, I'm just doing pretty much the same thing, and it just kind of started to wear on me. And then something happened that was just like catastrophic, and it's my own fault. A player had joined my game, and they gave me a gun with like infinite ammo and an insane amount of damage, like all this modded shit. And like a dumbass, I'm like, sure, I'll take that and use it. And I went through the entire game that way from the rest of that point on. And before that, the game at least had a good atmosphere to it. It was really creepy. And I remember I had these headphones, Turtle Beach headphones, that I paid like way too much for. Like $250 or some crazy shit like that are just sitting there gathering dust right now on my 360. Fuck you. I wish I never bought them because I can't use them on my PC. But I got those headphones, and the surround sound and everything, the sound in the game was just phenomenal. And it kind of reminded me of Resident Evil 2, where you had like the zombies groaning off in the distance, and it just kind of added to that atmosphere and that creepy shit. I remember there was like a zombie that like did like a kind of like a laughing thing. I know there's like a really bad representation of that, but it used to freak me out because you just felt so isolated in the city, and it had a lot of really good atmosphere, the first Dead Island. That much it had going for it, and if you played it by yourself, it was pretty freaking spooky. It just had a lot of atmosphere. I don't want to say it was like scary, like jump scares or anything like that, but it did have that going for it. And then once I picked up that modded weapon, it just destroyed the entire fucking game for me. It's just my own fault, I mean, it's the asshole's fault for giving it to me, but I didn't have to use it, right? But that's kind of like giving somebody like a rocket launcher, and all they have is like a handgun, and then saying, no, I don't want to use that. I'm just going to use my handgun. So it is kind of my own fault. But then I got Riptide, and I haven't beat that yet. I basically just started playing Riptide and Dying Light again, because Riptide was on sale on Steam a few days ago for like $4. I picked that up. And then right after Dying Light was on sale, half off for $30. So I picked that up. I'm like, damn it, Steam, you're fucking killing me here. So I grabbed both of them, and I've been dicking around with them. And, Riptide, I gotta say, like, right out of the gate, was immediately, like, before I even got off the ship, I'm like, ugh. It's just more of the same shit. It's like, it's not really holding my attention. And I think the biggest reason why is just because all you're really doing is clubbing shit over the head over and over again. And you do that the same thing in Dying Light, but they got the parkour system in there, you know. And then they got the whole day and night system where at nighttime you have to be careful and you have to be sneaky. And if you're not and you get spotted, you're gonna fucking die. Or you're gonna run your ass off, and it feels really intense. Other players can come into your game. You know, they can join as a special infected zombie that's like really OP and will just tear your ass up if you're by yourself. If you're playing with a friend, you've got a better chance. But I haven't played as a zombie yet. I plan on doing that just to see how it functions, but you can like level the zombie up. There's just more depth to it, you know. It's not more of the same, whereas Riptide was basically like an expansion pack in my opinion. That's what it feels like so far. I haven't gotten through and beaten it, but from what I've heard of others, it's more of the same. More of the same shit. So I'm going to go through it and I'm going to play it, but it's probably going to start to feel like a chore. Exploring the world, I always like doing that in the original Dead Island, so at least I've got that going for me. Well, the game's got that going for it, I should say. It's probably got really good atmosphere like the original one did. But I don't know, you know. I'm going to find out. But, yeah, I'm interested to see where this series goes because Dead Island 2 is in hiatus. The people that were working on that, the developers that Deep Silver had hired, are no longer working on it. We don't know what's going on. It's like in development hell. And many people have speculated that pretty much when Dying Light came out, Deep Silver was like, oh, fuck, okay, back to the drawing board, start over. And from what I saw of Dead Island 2, it looked pretty cool. I liked the graphics, I liked how colorful it was, I liked the setting, the whole Hollywood, you know, the California thing going on. I liked that, the whole Los Angeles feel. And you know, I'm interested to see where that goes. But I remember them talking about it being more like an MMO, where there's no story really aside from like just the stories that you get from each individual quest, which is kind of strange. There's no ending to it. It's supposed to just continuously go on. And then they were talking about how there's going to be, you know, 4 characters that they designed, and it's like, well, if there's no real story to it, then why not just let us make our own characters? So I don't know what's going on with that shit. Hopefully they scrap that idea and they just they make it where you can just create your own character and make it kind of more like an MMO. I think that's probably what they're gonna try to go for. But at the same time, people kind of have that MMO fatigue. But who knows? Who knows where it's going? It could be interesting, but at this point, like after getting my hands on Dying Light and having the whole parkour thing and the night and day thing going on, that just drastically changes the way you play the game. It's kind of hard to see anything else outdoing it, at least in the same space with like the same kind of gameplay. If it doesn't have the whole parkour and everything, I guess what I'm saying is it's just not gonna measure up to what Dying Light has done. Maybe I just don't have the creative vision that others have, but I don't see how this is possibly going to get any better. It's just going to be more of the same. Like if we have Dying Light 2, it's going to be parkour somewhere else. You know, it'll be kind of like what Far Cry 4 is to Far Cry 3. It's a good game, and there's some different things added into it that you can do, but it's pretty much more of the same shit. You know what I mean? It feels like this is like the golden age for the well, I can't really call it a franchise, but it's pretty much is from what these guys have done. This feels like it's the quintessential game in what they have been creating. So before I wrap this up, I just want to mention something else. There seems to be a lot of this 80s stuff going around lately. And I don't know if that's because developers are starting to get into that age bracket right around my age where the 80s is their childhood. I know for a lot of gamers that's how it is right now. Most of us are in our upper 20s. Lower to mid 30s. So as soon as I fired up Dying Light and I heard that theme song, it immediately reminded me of Day of the Dead, which is one of my favorite films of all time. It's my favorite horror movie, my favorite zombie movie. George Romero, a lot of you know I absolutely love George Romero's earlier films, not so much his later stuff. Everything from Night all the way up until pretty much Day of the Dead. Even Land of the Dead was okay. But anyway, I'm getting off topic here. The theme song is like directly influenced by the theme song in Day of the Dead. and I love that. It immediately played on my nostalgia, and we're starting to see a lot of that. Well, I don't know if I'd say we're starting to. We have been when we, you take a look back at Blood Dragon, Far Cry Blood Dragon's like 80s movie, like montage cheese all over it. It was just a fucking amazing game. Way too short, but it was just meant to be like a short kind of deal that they did. And then we're seeing stuff like Kung Fury, and then with Metal Gear Solid 5, it takes place in the 80s. So the 80s seems to be a theme recently, and the music in Dying Light is just so reminiscent of Day of the Dead, and some of the John Carpenter stuff like Escape from New York, which, by the way, I think I mentioned this before. Escape from New York was a big influence on Metal Gear Solid. I know Hideo Kojima will deny that, but it's the truth. Definitely. So yeah, it's just really cool to see that. And even the gameplay, like the city itself and the way that everything looks, reminds me of the opening scene of Day of the Dead, which, by the way, I should mention is available to watch on YouTube for free. Just type in Day of the Dead full movie and it will pop up. I highly recommend you watch it. Really, really good movie. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because it definitely has an influence on how I feel about Dying Light. It instantly gives me that nostalgia feeling. I think it's worth mentioning. There is a game called No More Room in Hell. If you happen to be a fan of Day of the Dead, it's pretty much they've got a level that pretty much recreates the facility from Day of the Dead. And I did play that on the channel. I might link that so you guys can check it out. Didn't get a lot of views, which was really disheartening to me because I'm really into that shit. I was hoping my subscribers would be as well. But I might bring more of that to the channel during the week of Halloween Madness. I'm not certain. But I'm going to ask you guys to please leave a like if you like this video. Please subscribe if you're new to my channel. And I look forward to seeing you all in my next video.